A family spent years terrified of a shadow that always knew their secrets before they spoke. Their son predicted accidents, heard voices inside walls, and claimed something was watching them from birth. But when they uncovered the truth about who he really was, the entire family wished they never did. And then the attic door opened. People in Savannah whispered about the Carter family long before the tragedy happened. Neighbors claimed someone was always watching from inside the house, even when nobody was near the windows. The strange part? The Carters themselves believed it too. Every birthday surprise was somehow ruined before it happened. Hidden gifts disappeared days before they were opened. Private conversations echoed back through the hallways, as if another family member had already heard them. And then there was Elijah, the quiet boy with the unsettling habit of finishing sentences before people spoke. At first, his parents thought he was simply intelligent, until he began describing events that had not happened yet. A car accident, a kitchen fire, the exact words his sister would scream during a nightmare 3 weeks later. By the age of 27, Elijah Carter became convinced an invisible man had followed his family his entire life. Always one step ahead, always listening. But Elijah never discovered the horrifying truth. The watcher inside the Carter home was never a stranger, because Elijah himself had never truly been born. The Carter family lived in a fading yellow house near the marshlands outside Savannah, Georgia. Every morning smelled of salt water and wet wood, and every night the distant croaking of frogs echoed through the neighborhood like whispers in the dark. Elijah Carter grew up believing he had the perfect childhood. His father, Marcus Carter, repaired fishing boats near the Savannah River docks. His mother, Evelyn, worked nights at a small hospital downtown. His older sister, Naomi, constantly teased him for being too quiet, while his little brother, Caleb, followed him everywhere like a shadow. To outsiders, they looked normal. But strange things happened inside the yellow house. Elijah always knew things before they happened. At 7 years old, he told Naomi not to ride her bicycle near Hawthorne Street. Hours later, a truck crushed the bicycle exactly where he warned her. At 10, he woke up screaming about smoke filling the kitchen. The next afternoon, Evelyn accidentally left a pan burning on the stove. The family stopped calling it coincidence. Marcus secretly installed locks on every window, convinced someone had been entering the house at night. But every morning, the locks remained untouched. And somehow, Elijah already knew they would. By the time Elijah turned 13, the yellow house no longer felt safe. The Carter family had stopped discussing the strange incidents openly, but silence only made the fear worse. Marcus began checking every room before bed with a flashlight and baseball bat. Evelyn started sleeping with the hallway light on. Naomi refused to stay home alone after sunset. Only Elijah seemed calm. Too calm. One rainy October night, the family gathered in the living room during a thunderstorm that shook the old windows. Caleb sat on the carpet drawing superheroes while Naomi argued with Marcus about moving out of Savannah after graduation. Then the television suddenly turned off. The room fell silent. A low knocking sound echoed from inside the walls. 3 slow knocks, then another 3. Marcus froze. The sound moved through the house like footsteps trapped behind the wooden panels. From the kitchen to the hallway to the staircase leading upstairs. Caleb began crying, and then Elijah spoke quietly without looking up from his book. It's stopping outside Mom's room. The knocking stopped instantly. Evelyn turned pale, because Elijah's bedroom door was closed. There was no possible way he could have seen the hallway upstairs from where he sat. Yet moments later, Marcus rushed upstairs and found fresh scratch marks outside Evelyn's bedroom wall. Elijah's nightmares began shortly after the scratching appeared upstairs. At first, they seemed harmless. A faceless man standing at the end of a hallway, heavy breathing in darkness, a distant heartbeat echoing through empty rooms. But as weeks passed, the dreams became disturbingly vivid. Every night, Elijah saw the same place, a narrow red room pulsing softly like it was alive. Thick shadows moved across the walls while muffled voices echoed around him. Sometimes he heard crying, sometimes laughter, and sometimes a woman whispering his name. He always woke up gasping for air. One morning, Evelyn found him asleep on the bathroom floor with blood dripping from his nose. His hand was shaking violently. "Elijah," she whispered, terrified. "What did you see?" The boy stared blankly at the mirror. "There's a man following us," he muttered. Marcus immediately searched the property again. He checked the attic, crawl space, closets, even the marsh behind the house. But no footprints, no broken locks, and no signs of intruders were ever found. Still, the feeling of being watched grew stronger. Then Elijah started drawing the man from his dreams. Tall, thin, no face, and always standing behind the Carter family, watching them, waiting. But the truly horrifying detail was this. In every drawing, the faceless man was holding Elijah's hand. The Carter family stopped inviting visitors to the Yellow House after the incident with Pastor Raymond Hill. Marcus had asked the local church pastor to bless the home, hoping prayer might finally calm the strange tension surrounding Elijah. On a freezing December evening, Pastor Hill arrived carrying a Bible, holy oil, and a nervous smile that quickly disappeared the moment he stepped inside. The old man paused near the staircase. "Someone else is here," he whispered. Marcus felt his stomach tighten. The pastor walked room to room, praying softly under his breath, while Evelyn held Caleb close. Naomi rolled her eyes at first, but even she became silent when lights began flickering overhead. Then Pastor Hill suddenly stopped outside Elijah's bedroom, his face drained of color. "He already knows I'm coming," the pastor murmured. Before Marcus could ask what he meant, Elijah opened the bedroom door from inside. "I told you not to bring him here." The words chilled everyone, because Elijah's voice sounded older somehow, deeper and calm in a way no child should sound. Pastor Hill slowly backed away. "What did you see?" Marcus demanded. The pastor stared directly at Elijah. "I saw a child," he whispered, "but not inside this house." Then he left without finishing the blessing. That night, Naomi discovered something terrifying. Every family photograph in the house had changed. Someone had scratched Elijah's face out of every picture. Naomi was the first to notice the dates did not make sense. She discovered it while organizing old family boxes in the attic during the summer Elijah turned 17. Dust filled the air as sunlight slipped through cracks in the wooden ceiling. Hidden beneath stacks of faded newspapers sat a photo album Evelyn had not touched in years. Inside were hundreds of family pictures. Birthdays, Christmas mornings, school graduations, fishing trips near Tybee Island. But something was horribly wrong. Elijah appeared in every photograph exactly as they remembered him. Same smile, same clothes, same age progression. Except the dates proved impossible. One photograph showed Elijah celebrating his 10th birthday. The printed date beneath the image was nearly 4 years before his official birth certificate. Naomi checked another, and another. Every single photo containing Elijah carried impossible timestamps. Her hands trembled as she rushed downstairs. Marcus immediately accused the photo lab of mistakes, but Evelyn's face turned ghostly pale. She remembered taking those photographs herself. Late that night, Naomi searched through hospital records hidden in Evelyn's closet. What she found shattered her completely. Evelyn Carter had once been pregnant before Caleb, but according to medical reports from Memorial Hospital in Savannah, The baby never survived the pregnancy, and the recorded due date matched Elijah's birthday exactly. After discovering the hospital records, Naomi stopped speaking to Elijah normally. Every time she looked at him, fear crept into her eyes. Elijah noticed, and for the first time in his life, he began questioning his own memories. Small details suddenly felt wrong. He could remember birthdays, vacations, arguments, and schools clearly, but never the spaces between them. Faces blurred whenever he tried recalling childhood classmates. Teachers had names, but no voices. Entire years felt stitched together like scenes from someone else's dream. Then came the headaches. Violent pulses exploded behind his eyes whenever he tried remembering his earliest years. One night, Elijah collapsed in the kitchen screaming. The family watched helplessly as he clawed at his head, gasping for breath. "I can hear her crying," he shouted. Then everything changed. The yellow house vanished around him. Elijah found himself standing inside the red room from his nightmares, warm, dark, and alive with the sound of a massive heartbeat echoing through the walls. A woman's voice whispered nearby, soft, broken, "Please survive." Elijah stumbled forward through thick darkness until he noticed another figure standing across the room. The faceless man, motionless, waiting. Then Elijah realized the horrifying truth. The room was not a room at all. It was the inside of a womb, and the faceless man slowly pointed toward Elijah himself. Elijah woke up in Memorial Hospital surrounded by terrified faces. Marcus stood near the window, looking exhausted. Evelyn refused to let go of Elijah's hand, crying silently every few minutes. Naomi stayed furthest away, unable to meet his eyes. But Elijah no longer felt confused. For the first time, he remembered everything. Not like normal memories, more like fragments of feelings trapped in darkness. He remembered hearing Evelyn's heartbeat before he ever saw light. He remembered Marcus talking beside the hospital bed about baby names. He remembered Naomi singing through Evelyn's stomach when she was little herself. And he remembered dying. The realization hollowed him from the inside. Elijah finally understood why every memory felt unfinished, why every dream led back to the red room, why someone always seemed one step ahead. Because the Watcher had never been chasing the Carter family. It had been watching over them, watching over him. Late that night, Elijah quietly asked Evelyn a question she had feared for 17 years. "How long did you carry me after they said I was gone?" Evelyn broke down instantly. Through tears, she confessed the truth. The doctors declared the baby dead during pregnancy, but Evelyn refused to accept it. For weeks afterward, she continued speaking to the unborn child every single day, imagining the life he would have lived. And somehow, Elijah remembered all of it. The truth destroyed the Carter family slowly. After Evelyn's confession, silence consumed the yellow house for days. Marcus buried himself in work at the docks while Naomi refused to sleep under the same roof as Elijah. Even Caleb avoided looking directly at his brother anymore. But Elijah's memories continued growing stronger and stranger. He now understood something terrifying. None of his life had happened physically. Not school, not birthdays, not friendships, not the years growing up. Every memory existed inside the mind of an unborn child listening to the world outside the womb. A life imagined from voices, constructed from emotions, built from hope. Yet somehow, Elijah had continued existing long after death should have ended him. One stormy evening, Elijah entered the attic searching for answers. Hidden beneath old blankets, he discovered a sealed cardboard box labeled simply, "Baby E." Inside were hospital bracelets, ultrasound photographs, and a tiny yellow blanket Evelyn had knitted before the miscarriage. At the bottom sat a cassette tape, Hands trembling, Elijah played it. Evelyn's younger voice filled the attic softly. "If you can hear me, Elijah, I want you to know your family already loves you." Then Marcus laughed somewhere in the background. Naomi sang a lullaby. And Caleb, not yet born then, somehow giggled faintly afterward. Elijah froze. That was impossible, because Caleb did not exist yet when the recording was made. After hearing Caleb's voice on the cassette tape, Elijah finally understood something even more horrifying than death. He was not alone inside the imagined life. Something else had been there with him from the beginning. That night, the yellow house felt alive. Floorboards creaked without footsteps. Shadows stretched unnaturally along the walls. The sound of breathing echoed faintly through empty rooms. Then Caleb disappeared. Marcus found the back door wide open near midnight while rain poured across the marshlands outside Savannah. Evelyn collapsed, screaming his name as Marcus searched the property with a flashlight. Elijah already knew where Caleb was. "The attic," he whispered. They found Caleb standing motionless beside the old box marked Baby E. The boy's eyes looked distant, almost asleep. "Elijah," Caleb said softly, "the man says you're not supposed to stay anymore." The room turned freezing cold. Then the attic light exploded. Darkness swallowed everything. Inside the blackness, Elijah heard the familiar heartbeat again, louder than ever before. The faceless man appeared near the attic window, impossibly tall now, his body twitching unnaturally like broken bones shifting beneath skin. For the first time, Elijah saw the figure's face beginning to form, and it looked exactly like him. Then the creature spoke, not with a voice, but directly inside Elijah's mind. "You imagined yourself alive," it whispered, "but I imagined you too." The storm outside Savannah raged like the world itself was collapsing. Inside the attic, the Carter family huddled together as the faceless creature stepped forward through darkness, wearing Elijah's unfinished face. Its eyes were empty, its smile wrong, and yet it carried Elijah's memories. Every birthday, every fear, every dream. The heartbeat thundered louder until the walls of the yellow house began pulsing like living flesh. Elijah suddenly understood what the creature truly was. Not a demon, not a ghost, but the part of him that never accepted death. The imagined self created inside the womb. The life that desperately wanted to exist. "You kept me alive," Elijah whispered toward Evelyn. Tears streamed down her face. For 17 years, she had spoken to the unborn child she lost, imagining his future so vividly that somewhere between grief and love, something conscious formed inside the darkness, and now could no longer survive. The creature lunged forward violently, but instead of attacking, it wrapped its arms around Elijah like a frightened child. The heartbeat slowed. The attic grew warm. Then both Elijah and the creature slowly faded together like smoke dissolving into air. By sunrise, only the Carter family remained inside the yellow house. No trace of Elijah existed anymore, except for one thing. On the attic floor sat a fresh family photograph taken years earlier. And this time, Elijah was finally smiling directly at the camera. Imagine living an entire lifetime before ever taking your first breath. That was Elijah Carter's curse. A boy born from grief. A life stitched together from a mother's love, a father's hope, and the voices of a family that never stopped speaking to the child they lost. But the scariest part of the Carter story was never the shadow in the house. It was this question: if thoughts can create memories, if love can keep something alive, then what else could be waiting inside the darkness we cannot see? Even after Elijah vanished, neighbors near the old yellow house in Savannah reported hearing strange things late at night. A child laughing upstairs, soft knocking inside the walls, and sometimes a teenage boy's voice whispering from the attic. "I'm still here." Police never found evidence of trespassers. The Carter family eventually moved away, but the house remains abandoned to this day. And according to local rumors, anyone who sleeps there hears a heartbeat beneath the floorboards around 3:17 a.m. So if you ever find yourself near that marshland road outside Savannah, don't stop at the yellow house, because something inside may already know you're coming.